All right, so I've talked about a lot of this already, and some of the just mundane details. Make sure you look at the slides or listen to that longer presentation from yesterday. It's up there for everybody. So we had said we have within a muscle we have glycogen. And we said, what is glycogen? It is a polysaccharide consisting of many, many glucoses. So this is the energy source that is available to the muscle when it's doing work. Now, also, we have all of this cellular machinery working all the time, and it's producing ATP. So there's ATP sitting there bored, wanting to do something. So there's ATP available for a while. So when you start to contract your muscle, you're just drawing on the ATP that's already there. And then we had said that we have ways of making ATP. And we had said if you have oxygen available, you can extract a lot of ATP from a single glucose molecule. We had said you can extract 38 ATP from one glucose molecule, but you have to have oxygen for that. And so the process breaks down. If you run out of oxygen, if you're out of breath, if you are out of breath, then you don't have enough oxygen. That's why you breathe, by the way. You don't have enough oxygen to efficiently extract energy from these glucose molecules, but you can get a little bit through a process called anaerobic respiration. It's also known as fermentation. And what happens is you split that glucose molecule in half and produce a couple of ATP, 2, that's it, the net result of 2. And then the two halves of the glucose get converted into acetic acid, a toxic compound. But you can tolerate a bit of it, and you can survive because you have available ATP. Now, this is what the next chapter will be about. We'll be talking all this fun stuff about energy, but for now, that's all we're going to really say about it, except that you have to get rid of that lactic acid. And we had said that is called the oxygen debt. The oxygen debt is when you're relaxed and you're breathing freely, the amount of oxygen that is required to convert that lactic acid back into those high-energy glucose molecules. Now, there's one other source of ATP. We had said you've got about 6 seconds of ATP sitting there. But then when an ATP gives up its energy, it becomes ADP, meaning adenosine diphosphate, meaning 2 phosphates, instead of triphosphate, meaning 3. So it needs a phosphate. If it only had one more phosphate, it'd be ATP again. Well, guess what? In your muscles, you have a molecule called creatine phosphate. And bodybuilders like to take extra creatine phosphate because it makes them, gives them a little bit more energy in there. And what the creatine phosphate does is it gives the phosphate to the ADP, making ATP again. So you have about 10 or 15 seconds of contraction as a result of that. And then after that, you got to go back to the old-fashioned way of making it called cellular respiration, either with oxygen, aerobic, or without, anaerobic. All right, what else did we talk about? Oh, okay, so we had talked about the muscle itself. We had said that the muscle itself, if you step back and stop thinking about all these molecules, proteins and such, and you say, well, we've got a big old chunk of muscle here. What goes on there? We had said that there are some stages in muscle contraction. There was the latent period That's the period from the time that you say, we want to contract. There's a short period of time until it actually does contract. Then we have the contraction stage, the relaxation stage, and then we have this, what we call refractory period, a short time where everything is in the wrong place. And so everything has to kind of get back to the right location so it can do it again. And I told this kind of long-winded story about a rat biting a technician. Watch the other movie if you want to hear a good story. Okay, dealing with this. All right, so then we had said that you can work muscles opposite each other as in isometric contractions. Then we have eccentric contractions or concentric contractions when you move the muscle. The muscle is producing more force than the resistance, or eccentric when it's going the other direction, where the muscle is exerting too little force to overcome the resistance. Finally, we talked about smooth muscle, and we had said we've got some differences with the smooth muscle. Not a lot, just a little bit. We had said that the smooth muscle were those spindle-shaped muscles, and we had said that they don't have striations, but it's still an interaction between the myosin head and the myosin binding site on the actin. It's just not as obvious when you look at them. We had said they don't have transverse tubules because they're a much smaller cell, and their sarcoplasmic reticulum is not, so goofy like we saw with the big cisternae in the skeletal muscle. So what else? Oh yeah, so we had said that we have multi-unit smooth muscles, and those are the ones that are controlling like the opening in your eye. They can produce very fine movements, or we have single unit smooth muscles that are just contracting and pushing material through a tubular or hollow-shaped organ. And there was one major difference. There is no troponin in a smooth muscle. What does troponin do? It combines with calcium, but don't you worry. Instead of troponin, there is calmodulin. It does the same thing. It's just a different chemical. The final thing we talked about were some problems with the neuromuscular junction. Poisons, toxins. And we had said, what is controlling all of this muscle contraction? It's the neurotransmitter substance acetylcholine. And we had said, that causes the contraction. And then there was an enzyme, acetylcholine esterase. That's the enzyme that breaks down the acetylcholine that allows you to finally relax, right? So we said, if you look at some of the toxins in the world, and we had said there's this poison dart frog-derived toxin known as curare. If you read Sherlock Holmes books, occasionally curare comes up in it, and it's a poison that blocks the acetylcholine. And what happens if you block the acetylcholine? Well, no muscle contraction. And if there's no muscle contraction, rigor mortis, right? You die. That's right. You die if you're not breathing and if you're not pumping blood. It doesn't take you very long to die. So it's really bad for you. But it helps the native peoples out, because if you stick a pin, a dart, and a monkey in the top of a tree, the monkey said, that hurts, but that, I'm certainly not going to kill me. The curare does, though, and they fall out of the tree. So, monkey, it's what's for dinner. we had talked about there's a couple of nasty diseases or toxins associated with microbes, Clostridium tetani and Clostridium botulinum. You don't want either of those. They have their effect also in the neuromuscular junction, but they don't interfere with acetylcholine. Oh, no, no. They interfere with acetylcholine esterase. So the muscles contract and stay contracted, and they kill you just the same. And I mentioned before, the old name for tetanus, you get it. That's why you get a tetanus shot. The old name for tetanus was lockjaw, because the muscles contract and they can't relax. All right, that's all for now. You guys have a good one.